Coming up this week, off screen.
We say the magic word,
Visit a new pet cemetery.
play with the keeper,
Get happy with Lazzaro.
read a nervous translation,
And hit the trail with the Sisters Brothers.
all those to come and more, off screen.
This is Off Screen. Off Screen. Off Screen. Off Screen. With the latest film news and reviews, this is Off Screen, the Movie Marker radio show and podcast.
Ooh, welcome to Off Screen. I'm Van Connor.
And I am Case Allen.
So, Mr. Allen, welcome back. Another week of filmic frolic and cinematic fun. News, reviews, all the usual cinematic fun to come. We need to start with some news, though. So, what should we talk about this week? What's big this week?
Brad Dourif is not going to be voicing Chucky in the Child's Play remake,
That's sacrilege.
but Mark Hamill is.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's how you, annoy people and tell people everything's going to be fine.
You know-
in one breath.
Non-nerds, what I would describe as regular people, although, we're all quite nerdy now, generally,
Yeah.
as a culture. Well, most people don't seemingly know that Mark Hamill voiced the Joker, right? They do think that Mark Hamill was just Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, he's done nothing else, yeah.
Yeah, he did nothing else after Star Wars, that was it. And now he's back in Star Wars. There's a lot of people in the world, I would guess, that don't know that he's been a voiceover artist for decades.
Yeah. For, how many years has he done Joker? Is it 27 or something?
Something
daft?
91, 92, I think, Batman the Animated Series. And he's always been the Joker from that point, hasn't he?
Yeah, and also the Trickster in The Flash.
Oh, God, yeah.
Let's not forget. I think that's pretty great casting.
It is
I'm
good
sure you
casting.
could have got Brad Dourif again, but then again, this version's got nothing to do with Don Mancini,
It hasn't.
who is the creator, and so...
Well, he's carrying it on, isn't he? Don Mancini's carrying on the Child's Play series in the timeline that's still ongoing. The one that was in...
Yeah.
Was it Cult of Chucky, the most recent one?
I think so. Yeah.
The one in the mental hospital where they bring back Andy Barclay and Brad Dourif's daughter, and
was actually pretty good.
it wasn't bad, was it?
Yeah, they are going to be doing a TV miniseries, I think.
So the TV series is following on that continuity,
and
on
this
cinemas,
is its own thing.
in which Chucky is, I believe, now Buddy.
Buddy.
Voiced by Mark Hamill, and he's not a supernaturally possessed doll with the soul of a
It's some
serial
kind
killer.
of AI robot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in the trailer, you see Chucky. You see the word Chucky. So, yeah.
Maybe-
I think we'll just have to wait and see.
Maybe Buddy is just instead of good guys. Is that the thing?
Possibly, I don't know.
Because Chucky's a good guy doll, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's the brand.
That's
maybe
the brand,
maybe it's
yeah.
a Buddy brand, and he is still Chucky.
Maybe it's still Chucky. Yeah, that would make sense.
That
So
would make
I think the lead kid character does say Chucky in the trailer.
Well, maybe that's it then.
We're not giving away too much, but I'll watch it. Of course, I'll watch it.
To be honest, I wasn't really interested in this until they chucked
Until this.
Aubrey Plaza and Brian Tyree
Henry, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, now I'll watch it.
But now Mark Hamill's the voice, so
No, I'm definitely in. Yeah. But it can't suck that hard if it's got Mark Hamill in.
true. It wasn't in prequels.
It wasn't in the Star Wars prequels. That is
yeah.
true. That is true. We've got to give him that. So we got to plug the podcast edition of this show. So a little extra fun after the end credits, more reviews, more news, all the stuff we can't fit into the radio edit.
Loads of news, actually. I didn't think there was a lot of news, and then I went deep diving, and I've got a bucket full of news.
You've got a news bucket.
I've got a news bucket. That's what I use.
A nucket?
A nucket, if you will.
A nucket?
Yeah. Nucket sounds dirty, and I feel like we've meant it to be.
It does. It does sound a bit filthy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But no, so we'll do all that after the end credits, all the bonus stuff. So you can get that podcast edition from Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anyone with podcasts in the name generally. Tune in, Acast, Spotify, any podcast repository. Pop along off screen and get your full fill. So we should look at a movie then to start this week.
That is generally what we do. And what is that film?
I think we should start with not one but two Sisters Brothers.
Wow.
Yeah. So this has been, is it me or does this feel like it's been around for about a year now?
Long time.
A long time. So the Sisters Brothers, which I thought was a Netflix film, But I don't
I
know
thought it was an Amazon film. That's
yeah,
weird.
has that weird feeling, doesn't it? Like it's a streaming film. This is, incidentally, one thing I love about the Sisters Brothers is on IMDb, it's got original title Le Frère Sisters, which I just love. It's like finding out the translation of Das Boot is Das Boot. But anyway. So this stars John C. Reilly and Joaquin Phoenix as Eli and Charlie Sisters. The sisters, wait for it, brothers.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, so Joaquin's Charlie, he's kind of the hot-headed drunk one. And Eli is the older, more... he's kind of the muscle, but he's also the voice of reason sort of figure. They are effectively bounty hunters working for the Commodore. This is all set in the Old West. I think it's meant to be like 1860s thereabouts.
Who is the Commodore?
I can't tell you.
Right.
I can't tell you.
I won't.
You can spoil it very, very easily on IMDb.
I know a couple of people that are in the cast, but I don't know who plays who.
Don't look at the names above the poster because it's in there, I think. And no, don't. But so they work for the Commodore. They are sent to track down a man played by Riz Ahmed, who has gone off on the run having stolen something from the Commodore. As Eli points out at one point, why do people keep stealing from the Commodore? It's so weird that all these people steal from the Commodore. All we do is chase down people who steal from this guy. It's so weird. So you sort of get the idea of the tone that they start going for. They've also got a private detective who is actually closer on the trail to Riz Ahmed, who's actually accompanying him on his journey, played by Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yes, that's where I was in it.
Yeah, he strikes up a sort of a relationship with him. So on the one hand, you've got the Sisters Brothers, played by John C. Reilly and Joaquin Phoenix, who are doing the cross-country pursuit. And then up close and personal, you've got Jake Gyllenhaal or Potato, and Riz Ahmed having this sort of bonding session. And it all ties into the gold rush of the era. We've got a clip.
What's wrong with you?
Remember what happened last night?
Yes? Yeah?
You remember that you hit me?
I hit you? I hit you?
Stop pretending and spare me the I don't remember routine. You hit me in public, Charlie. So as sure as you're looking at me right now, I'm leaving.
No, wait. All right, what do you want? This is about slapping each other in public. So I slap you, you slap me back, we're even. So go ahead, hit me.
So there's a lot of the relationship explored between, for instance, the brothers there, as you can hear in the clip, and I kind of like the chemistry that they do share. I think John C. Reilly's brilliant in this. I think Joaquin Phoenix is a little bit shortchanged. I think of everyone in the movie, Joaquin Phoenix is the most shortchanged. Riz Ahmed, a little bit. I would argue they don't really get to explore him as a person or his motivations beyond so much what he is doing.
He's just there.
He is there doing stuff, but it's a good performance, to be fair. Gyllenhaal, let's call the whole thing off. Great, as pretty standard rock solid performance from him. But John C. Reilly, again, MVP. I mean, he's having a hell of a time lately. I mean, look at like Stan and Ollie.
He tends to be in most films he's in.
He's becoming the standout player, isn't he now?
Even in Guardians. Just having him in it for like 6 minutes.
Yeah, let's try not to think too much about how he's clearly dead now. But yeah, like his family were dead in that second movie.
Oh, I would love it at the end of Endgame. You just see him. It's just like, before you were dead. Nope.
Yeah. So this is directed by Jacques Audiard, and I'm trying to remember which film it was. Oh, he directed Rust and Bone. If you remember a couple of years ago,
I really like that film.
The one with was it
Matty Shoes and Marion Cotillard.
That's the one. Good movie, right?
Yeah.
Also,
the one with the whales.
The one with the whales.
And a Prophet.
And a Prophet, yeah.
I like that film. I have that on DVD right behind me.
There you go.
Yeah.
So Jacques Audiard, we obviously know his work.
I didn't realise I knew his work so well.
But turns out you do.
Wow.
This is directorially, I would say, up to that standard. It looks the part. It's got great visuals. Musically, it captures the spirit really well. The performances are there. The performances are rock solid. If there's anything to really put it down, it's really that you've seen this done before. And I think for me, there were shades of True Grit. The Coen Brothers remake of True Grit. There's a little bit of that in there. It works for me nonetheless because the character writing and the performances are so good that that's not really an issue for me. But it's just not anything that's going to reinvent the wheel. It's a good time. It's maybe a little bit overlong. and it does absolutely squander a cameo, and I am talking about the Commodore. But
Yeah, I have no idea who's
okay, don't look it up. You'll love it.
won't.
I mean, it's a wordless cameo.
Oh,
It's a wordless. It's a waste of a cameo. It's a wordless cameo. But to be fair to them, they do follow it up with a brilliant cameo, like an equally as brilliant cameo. So there is that going for it. I thought it was pretty good. I don't think it's an amazing movie, but I think it's very, very good. I would argue that it's maybe a little laboured at times, and maybe you could punch this up a little bit. Doesn't need an action beat or anything.
I can imagine
but-
the chemistry between those two being really good.
Yeah, the chemistry across the board is good. And it's more interesting when the two parties as well overlap, when they come together and you start to get to see different interplay.
I don't think I can think of a film where we've been in together before.
Oh, I can think of one that leaps out. So,
Is this something really obvious I'm just forgetting?
so Jake Gyllenhaal, Riz Ahmed, Nightcrawler.
Oh, no, I can think of those guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can think of that.
Oh,
Would you film a little bit?
Joaquin Phoenix and John C. Reilly. No, I don't think they have. There's going to be something really
That's
obvious,
weird.
isn't there? There's going to be.
Because they've both worked with PTA
Yeah.
so much. They've not crossed paths in a PTA film, and I'm just blanking it, am I?
I don't know. Not that I can think of.
Wow.
I don't know. But anyway, so The Sisters Brothers, or Le Frère Sisters by Jacques Audiard, out this weekend. Absolutely check that out.
With the latest film news and reviews. This is Offscreen, the Movie Marker radio show and podcast.
And we're back, Mr. Allen. So, do you like a good Stephen King movie?
I like a good one. I really like a bad one.
Well, there's so many to choose from with Stephen King
I
movies.
love Maximum Overdrive.
I like Thinner.
I love Thinner.
Thinner is so
Thinner's
good.
on Netflix. As is Sleepwalkers.
Oh man,
which is
Sleepwalkers.
that's the one with the cat people.
Oh, you know what? I've not revisited in a long, long time. Sometimes they come back.
I've never seen that.
I think is that Timothy Hutton? Am I thinking of Timothy?
I don't know. Tim Burton from what's the one everyone lost their minds over recently on Netflix?
Oh,
the house. Haunting of Hill House.
Oh yeah, Haunting of Hill House. Yeah.
What else is a bad one? Dreamcatcher, which is on Amazon Prime.
Dreamcatcher's
which I
terrible.
saw. Yeah.
But okay, so Pet Sematary sits about middle of the spectrum.
Well, this one,
This new one.
because I really like the. Is it
1990
Is it 80s
movie.
or was it 1990?
1990, isn't it? Like,
It's 90. Is it 1989?
It's 89. It might be. I think
it's
it is
89.
89. So
Yeah.
because we had your birthday recently, we themed it around
Around
1989.
1989, yeah. And we listened to Pet Sematary by the Ramones.
And I had the trailer on that playlist at your birthday party, so I'm a
so
bad
So
friend.
1989.
So, Pet Sematary 2019 sits in the middle of the quality spectrum, I would say. So, this is yet another interpretation of the Stephen King story, which I think is from 1983. The novel, which he regards as his scariest work. It's the story of a doctor, Lewis, played here by Jason Clarke, who moves with his family, his wife, and their two children, Ellie and Gage. Right, this is a thing because I'm going to use those names a bit. So Ellie and Gage, they move from Boston to like big city Boston, where he's working nights all the time in the ER, and they move to small town Maine. It's basically the setup from Arachnophobia, if we're honest.
And that's going to get remade really soon as well.
That is clearly getting remade with CGI spiders.
James Wan said he's producing it. Yeah,
Brilliant, love it.
I'm in.
So they move into this home, which comes with 50 acres of woods, as homes do. In these woods, they discover a pet cemetery where the local townsfolk, clever title, where the townsfolk all come and bury their pets. And obviously the sign is misspelled S for cemetery, hence the iconic title for this. When the family's cat dies, the father and his recently befriended neighbour, who's played here by John Lithgow, take over for Fred Gwynn from the 1989 version.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah. Are you coming with me? I can't do that voice. Anyway, so they go and they bury the cat in what's revealed to be a secret Micmac Indian burial ground behind the pet cemetery, in which if you bury something, it returns, but not quite right. So the cat comes back, it's noticeably more aggressive, it presents something of a threat to the family, it's more hostile, it smells bad, it's starting to rot, it's, undead, imagine that. So, with this in mind, what do you think might happen when the young daughter of the family is unfortunately killed in a tragic accident?
The same thing. Can I just say, you bring that up?
Yeah.
That is a bit of a twist and a spoiler, but I'm not blaming you because they put that in the ruddy trailer.
They do.
Yeah.
Also, interestingly enough, this is the first version in which it is the daughter and not in which it is Ellie that dies, and
not Gage. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
but-
it's pretty iconic for it being
iconic.
Gage in the 89 version.
So we've got a clip of Ellie's mother being presented with her newly returned daughter.
What's going on?
I wasn't ready to say goodbye to her.
You're scaring me. Just tell me what you're talking about.
It was my fault she died. I had to bring her back.
There's a place Rach deep in the woods. Beyond the pet cemetery. It brings things back.
Are you happy, Mommy?
To be honest, it's about as nuts and bolts as it can get. There's stuff that they've altered, like, for instance, it being the other child who dies in this version, whereas obviously in the book and in the original movie it was Gage, and now it's Ellie. The reason they seem to have changed that is to try and play up the father-daughter relationship. The only problem is there's a lot of elements that have clearly been locked out of the film. There are things in there, like for instance an 11th hour attempt to mine something from the mother-daughter relationship, that required at least a scene to establish and flesh that out earlier on. There's no such scene. There are other things, like for instance the Gage having certain abilities element of the story, which has never been plot relevant. It's one of those weird Stephen King things that, Stephen King always did that with his, especially his earlier books, where the youngest son always had this one weird quirk that was for no reason other than, Stephen King book,
Well, Shining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's then become the ground for the actual sequel, isn't it? Haven't we got that this year?
Yeah. Oh, Doctor
Dr.
that
Sleep
is this year, isn't it?
this year with Ewan McGregor, yeah.
I'm
So-
quite looking forward to that, because isn't it the guy that did Horton Hill House?
Mike Flanagan, yeah.
Yeah.
Did Oculus.
I'm gonna... Yeah.
And
Gerald's Game.
And the Ouija sequel prequel.
That was
thing.
actually really good.
That was good, yeah, unlike the first one.
We're going to try and mention him every block.
I think so.
Yeah.
So funny you mentioned The Shining as well, because this film, like all good Stephen King adaptations, has to open with that shot from The Shining. You know that one?
Like the overhead.
Yeah, exactly, the overhead shot. So you begins with that. It's got the feel, it's got the atmosphere, it's got the tone. Okay, we're in good Stephen King hands here. Now, it's capably directed. It's quite badly lit, I will say that. I mean, I've watched the trailer in HD since, just to check this, and I know that there is a certain element of poor projection in the Cineworld screen that I saw it in, that plays a part in this, but it is quite
burn on the Cineworld screen.
I don't. It's like it's like it was duller and darker than it needed to be. So, and a lot of this takes place at night in minimal lighting. So, you know what I mean?
Sorted out, yeah.
Yeah.
We should have a Stephen King only screen.
That's exactly
in that particular
Just save it for Conjuring movies and Stephen King adaptations.
Yeah.
Now, this, like I say about the ability thing with Gage, leaving that in, it basically determines that they have made no real attempt to adapt the source material rather than... And this was the case with It as well. They've adapted the last movie rather than adapt the original book. You know what I mean? With It, where every set piece had certain identical physical characteristics with the 1990 version, you're thinking, what are you adapting here?
Especially with It when it comes to the drain.
Yeah, things like the drain in particular, the bathroom scene with Beverly, for instance, which are almost shot for shot identical. And you just think, why? This shouldn't be for those fans.
But also, try and think of another way to do it.
Exactly, that's the fun of doing the adaptation. This does it more or less exactly the same thing. Without going into spoilers, I will tell you it's really only the last 10 minutes of this film where they have made significant changes outside of just which child it is.
Yeah.
But there's 10 minutes where certain things happen differently, largely to do with the ending, but yeah, there's now 3 different endings to this story if we go through the different versions. Jason Clarke is Jason Clarke. There's not a whole heap of charisma going on there, but he does intense and focused well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does that dad character well.
Yeah.
You either get him or you get Patrick Wilson.
Well, that's the thing, because Patrick Wilson, I think, has some charisma. I think he's got some charm. No one's ever going to describe Jason Clarke, I think, as charming. You wouldn't look at him and say, that's a charming man right there. Patrick Wilson gives me a smile. And I get
Jason
flutter.
Clarke's wife. Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. The rest of the cast are pretty solid. John Lithgow stand out of this one, but of course he's the standout. He's John Lithgow.
He's John Lithgow, yeah. I'm listening to him on Mark Maron's podcast right now.
Oh, excellent.
He's really good.
It's not as good as It. I mean,
but it'll get
arguably
it'll get a lot of the same fans.
It'll get a lot of the same fans. Arguably, Thinner is academically a better film. But, yeah. But the thing is, it's been built to the standard of the 2016-2017 It. So, it's been built to that standard. The material really isn't there to begin with if you're not going to mine for it. And this makes no attempt to be honest.
Okay.
So, I found it a bit of an epic fail, and I'm not overly attached to the original, to be honest. I came out of this thinking, you know what, you've gone back to the well. This is the story that invented a lot of these tropes, and rather than try and do something with that, what you have basically done is give me the Wikipedia version in the packaging.
Well, it sounds like they have tried some things new, but just not.
We are talking about very, very minor things at the end.
I'm gonna have to see it to really.
I'd be interested to see what you make of it.
Because I obviously love the 8 to 9. I think it was one of the first Stephen King films I saw when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So that's why I've got such an attachment to it.
Tommy Knockers for me.
Tommy Knockers.
Tommy Knockers, my first Stephen King.
That, and also I love Ramones. So the fact that there's a Ramones song on the soundtrack, I love that as well.
Well, there isn't now.
That upsets me. Yeah. Well, in fact, no, that does upset me because it's probably going to be like Lorde covering it.
Probably, yeah.
Billie Eilish.
So, should we just move on to the next review really quickly?
Let's do it.
We overran on that one. I'm sorry, I'm a terrible person. So,
History's Greatest Monster.
I'm History's Greatest Monster. So let's talk about Nervous Translation really quickly. A new film from Shireen Senow. This is about an 8-year-old girl. I think it's a Filipino-made film that's set in Japan. Set in 80s Japan. I believe that's how it works. So 8-year-old Yael, she is a young, shy, only child. She kind of lives in her own internal fantasy world, and her father works away. She lives in a flat with her mother, who, is either out at work, leaving the kid on her own all day, or just asleep on the couch in front of her. The father, who's working away, communicates with the mother by mailing through old-fashioned post, with stamps and everything, a cassette tape.
I can't remember that. A cassette tape?
A cassette tape. Not even a mini disc, mate. A cassette tape. And he sends his messages via tape recorder. And the young girl, Yael, she listens to these recordings whilst basically living in her own world and making these like little miniature still life sculptures and things like that, and little miniature kitchens on which she can actually cook with a tea candle and things like that.
That's adorable.
And that's it. And she lives in her own internalized world. We reviewed a film recently called A Trip to the Moon, which I described as basically like a Rugrats episode.
Yeah.
This has that same kind of thing, but this is played as a really artsy drama. Obviously, we've got no clip for this because it's all in foreign dialect, but it has that Rugrats feel to it, but as high art. This is, this is Rugrats by way of Derek Jarman.
like most episodes of Rugrats.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like the Tommy Goes Naked episode, which is clearly my
That's
favourite.
live action one where it was played by Wallace Shawn.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that episode. I need to look that one up.
I'm completely making that up.
Oh. Well,
But you want to see that.
I want to see that, yeah.
You want to see Wallace Shawn dressed like a 70-year-old adult baby.
Rugrats is coming back, so,
Who was as live action?
I'm not sure. I'm sure I heard live action animated hybrid at one point for Rugrats, but
I want to see the live action version of Rugrats where they're all in an old person's home. Wallace Shawn is Tommy.
Angelica is played by Christine Baranski.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
That actually, for an off the cuff bit of casting, that one's good.
That's real good. I don't know who would you get for Chucky?
For Chucky. And Bill Hader, but
No, it's got to be older.
It's got to be older.
Yeah.
I don't know. Ed Begley Jr.
That's not bad.
That's not terrible.
Not bad. Yeah, that's all right.
Anyway, so Nervous Translation, really, really well directed film. Amazing, just a gorgeous film to look at. I would argue it goes a bit too conceptual at times, but having said that, the caveat of that is it really perfectly, I think, captures what you can remember of the experience of being a little girl, not being a little girl, of being a small child.
I remember it well.
I remember being a little girl. Yeah, but no,
when I had pigtails.
That that in your own world feeling of being a small child.
Yeah.
That, not knowing what the adults are talking about, and it all sounds like it's like Peanuts gang gibberish.
Yeah.
That kind of, it perfectly captures how it feels to live in that moment. And I thought it was great.
To be fair, but I still want to hear when we have a conversation about mortgages or
Welcome to your 30s, pal. And also, standout performance from, and I said this earlier, Yana Agoncillo, sorry.
nailed it.
Almost.
Well done.
As Yael, she is absolutely brilliant. She's like an 8-year-old kid. She's absolutely superb in it. So, nervous translation. If you're looking for a nice, tidy 90-minute bit out there, live action Japanese Rugrats episode,
which I often am.
but yeah, I mean, when the mood takes you, go and check that out.
With the latest film news and reviews. This is Offscreen, the Movie Marker radio show and podcast.
And we're back, Mr. Allen. So, another review then before we do some news. We're going to talk about The Keeper. Brace yourself for this. This is the story of a German POW, Burnt Troutman. And he is kept in a prisoner of war camp in Lancashire. This is obviously in the...
Burn Troutman.
They say it as Bert. But it's
right.
Burned.
Right.
Burn DT.
Right.
Yeah, you know
okay.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Burnt Troutman. Okay, he's played by David Cross. Not the David Cross.
Right. Not Tobias Funke.
Not Tobias Funke, no. Played by David Cross with a K. Who looks like that? He looks a bit like Prince William.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit like young
Looks
Prince William.
Like the opposite of David Cross.
If you were going to cast Prince William in a biopic, I would get David Cross. Watch that have actually happened now on Lifetime or something.
Oh, I'd love that, yeah.
So he is a German POW, kept in a camp in Lancashire. He is basically drafted onto the local football team. Because it turns out some of these German soldiers are really bloody good football players. So it turns out he's an amazing football player. And he leads the local football team to absolute success. So much so that he gets an invite to go and try out for Man City. I remind you, this is a German POW. They basically marry him off at one point to keep him in the UK. He becomes the first foreign player in British football.
Yeah.
Which... by today's standards, is just mind-boggling that was never a thing.
Yeah.
You know, like nowadays, when there are about 3 British players on the average Premier League football team.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny now. Most of them are French and Italian and German and, and Spanish and Argentinian. We've got them all now. But this was the story of the first ever foreign player. And it is basically his biopic. We've got a clip.
Who's the bloody goalkeeper?
You think you just play some football and everything's forgiven, forgotten that you robbed us of our youth. Instead of going out dancing, we had to spend our evenings in a bomb shelter.
I'd rather have danced with you than stood on the battlefield.
What is it with boys and football?
Football is like a wonderful dance.
It's bloody barbaric.
Not if you look closely.
Do you have a girlfriend?
No girl at home.
So it's got that biopic piano music.
Yeah, I know.
You get in every biopic.
To be honest, it's one of those cheap and cheerful sort of wartime, dramas that feels like. Do you remember that one? Another Mother's Son or whatever it was that starred Ronan Keating about a year ago, and then also last year.
Yeah, because I remember we had a big conversation as to who cast Ronan Keating in the film.
Yeah, exactly. And also Tommy's Honor. If you remember that one, that was
the golf one.
The golf one, yeah. So
Peter Mullen.
It was Peter Mullen. Peter Mullen was the dad, and Jack Loudon was the son, I believe. Now in this one, you've got a weird little eclectic cast of this. Do you remember when First Man came out, and there was this notion that basically they had just cast any actor about 40 years old who had a 1960s face.
So Corey Stoll.
So Corey Stoll and Ron Livingston and people
and Kyle Chandler.
Yeah, Kyle Chandler and just people like that. Yeah, sorry, it was Kyle Chandler. Why did I say Ron Livingston? That's
Why
another.
did you? Yeah,
they're interchangeable for me. Let's be honest. They kind of look like the same dude.
Have you seen Ron Livingston Piano Cat? video.
Yes,
from years ago.
I have. Yeah.
That's one of my favourite videos on the internet ever.
Well, in the same way that First Man did that with the 1960s, this does the same kind of thing with, are you a 60-year-old man with a 60-year-old British man with a 1940s face? Step on up, son. So you just get all these actors who you don't know the name of, but you know them by face.
Know them by face.
Yeah, so it's kind of, there's a lot of that guy from that thing. So John Henshaw, Henry Melling, Dave Johns turns up in this, Daniel Blake.
Daniel Blake, yeah.
For what seems to be about 5 minutes.
I always forget his actual name, but I will never just not call him Daniel Blake.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, Michael Socha has to turn up in this because it's a British film involving like young men. So Michael Socha has to be there.
Of course, yeah.
Because it's northern and regional, you see. Who's more northern and regional than Michael Socha?
Dem de Bulls.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Sean Bean is the answer
Sean Bean.
to that, of course, like, obviously.
I swear to God, there's a line in Troy where he says, "Oh, Achilles." But there is, isn't there? I'm not making that up. That is a thing.
Like, in his shield, he's got a little pouch for some, like, hendos.
Yeah, exactly. So this isn't terrible. It's perfectly watchable, but it is drippy as hell. I mean, this is just a leaking faucet of drippiness. It is
Leaking faucet.
Yeah, it is just it's exactly the Hallmark Channel film you think it is. Like when you said about the biopic piano music. Yeah, pretty much exactly that film. You know exactly how they said. I mean, it gets to about half an hour before the end, and you're like, well, the story's over. Like, we know the story now. He's done. And you're like, what are you going to throw at us? Oh, okay, so, I forgot that little thing happened. And, oh, yeah, that pesky little thing as well. Okay. And then there's this really contrived moment involving a chess piece, and it's just a really wishy-washy time.
Just really.
But, having said that, the story... it's quite a touching story in a sense. It's just done quite badly. But the story of Troutman, becoming the first player and winning over the British people who here are depicted as being, quite xenophobic immediately post-war, which you'd imagine actually was the thing. That story is not without a certain level of timeliness, let's say, at the moment. So there's that going for it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got that.
Yeah. You know what? Father's Day's coming up. I'm sure they'll rush this out to DVD. He might like it.
They probably will.
Yeah, it's a Father's Day movie. Father's Day's what, 2 months away? Thereabouts?
I don't know. As a dad, I should know.
You should know as a dad.
Wow.
But let's be honest, as a son, neither of us would know where Father's Day is.
And I pretty much had this conversation with my wife on Mother's Day.
Exactly.
And she was like, oh, we can do something nice for Father's Day. And I was like, I don't know when that is. I think June?
Don't. I gave my mum a Mother's Day card a week early because I was visiting.
Yeah.
And then I was told on Mother's Day, it's like, have you called your mum? No. Why? And it's like, it's Mother's Day.
I have the same conversation.
Like, well, I know it's Mother's Day. I left her a card. She's like, yeah, but you still got to call. Why? She has a card.
Yeah.
And it's not that I didn't want to. It's just I was busy. But yeah. Anyway, so I don't get greetings cards anyway. They're just written confirmation of an intended good.
Let's stop talking about films. Let's just talk about like
life.
Let's talk about life.
The universe.
Let's talk about cards.
Different podcast. So some film news. What have we got? Are you looking at sneakers?
Yeah, I was. I'll be honest. I was looking at film news as well, but then I also my eye happened upon some really nice Vans that I wanted.
Fair enough. So quick piece of film news. Where you go for me?
So the Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Not a Suicide Squad.
Not and Suicide Squad.
Not and.
And
not plus Suicide Squad.
Anyway, here's the Suicide Squad.
Yep.
Jack Courtney's going to be Captain Boomerang again.
Yeah, I heard this.
Yeah.
Really? I mean,
it's the best thing Jack Courtney's ever done, apart from when he's on the latest Wet Hot American Summer.
Is he?
Yeah, and he's really funny in that.
Actually, I didn't mind Jai Courtney in, I think it was the first Divergent movie where he's actually like a villain.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought it was actually, that worked for him, I think, if memory serves. It's been a long time.
It's been a while. But
I'm sure he'll be cast in the Netflix series adaptation of Man on a Ledge sometime soon. I'm sure that'll happen. You got
because him and Sam Worthington.
Yeah, exactly. You got it. But the other thing I noted about the Suicide Squad this week, did you see there was set photos that revealed the Joker, isn't it?
No.
Yeah, there's like a breakup sequence in which Harley basically like storms out on the Joker. There's like a breakup sequence in this movie that they've been like, there's photos of them filming it.
She was going to be a different Joker again.
I'm not sure because you can't see his face.
Oh, so it's just going to be like...
It could just be a body double for Jared Leto's Joker kind of thing.
That would make sense.
But, yeah.
He is in Manchester right now filming Morbius.
Oh, Jack Courtney. Oh, Jared Leto.
Jared Leto. Yeah.
That's it's Jack Courtney.
Jack Courtney's got another job.
Manchester.
Yeah, they closed down whatever quarter it is. Jubilee Quarter, isn't it? Yeah, I get that and Northern Quarter and all the other quarters all confused.
I don't know my quarters, to be honest.
You don't know your quarters from your apes. No.
That's good.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, you could go to Manchester, pop in a Selfridges, might see Jared Leto.
Oh, might I see Matt Smith? You think?
Possibly, yeah. Side note about Selfridges in Manchester. My friend Sophie once pooped herself in Selfridges.
That is astonishing.
Yeah, in like one of the swankiest places in all of Manchester.
Pooped her britches, please, RT. So, right. So, from Suicide Squad to an Italian sharecropper. I think it's
sharecropper.
I think it's called sharecropper, which is like a commune where people work and they're basically used as slaves by a landowner. Right. It's a tobacco farm. So the movie's called Happy as Lazzaro. Lazzaro is a young sort of peasant boy who works on this tobacco plantation and becomes involved in a plot to sort of stage a fake kidnapping with a boy of a similar age who he befriends, who he sort of comes to connect with on sort of a level of sort of like a brother. So they think of themselves as brothers. So through this bonding, they stage his kidnapping. And the Baroness, who is sort of the corrupt overseer of the commune, is, she's forced to make some ransoms. But there's slightly more to it. I can't go too far into this one because there's some twisting and turning.
Okay, you don't want to spoil it.
Again, a little bit surreal with the concept. Little bit Rugratsy at times. A little bit Rugrats. Little bit Idiocracy even at times. So, this is known by its original title, which I absolutely love, by the way, as Lazzaro Felice. I like that. Do you like that?
Yeah,
I like that. So, Lazzaro's played by... hang on. It's played by Adriano Tardiolo, who, for all intents and purposes, looks like the love child of Kyle Gallner and a young Robin Williams. And has basically got all the presence to match.
That's great.
He's got that madcap energy of Robin Williams bottled up in that stonerish Kyle Gallner way. The film is... at certain times just bonkers, and at other times really sweet and touching and sort of very nuanced. But it jumps so randomly, but it does jump with complete confidence. So there's that going for it, you know. It is an odd one, but it's a pretty likable and good one. So it's so it's directed by Alice Rohrwacher. Written and directed by Alice Rohrwacher, and I'm trying to remember what she had done before. There was a film.
Yeah, I don't recognise that name.
The Wonders in 2014, if you remember that. But
I remember Wonder, and I remember Wonder Wheel and Wonder Woman.
And now we've got The Wonders. With this box set building itself.
There is a box set.
There is a box set here. There totally is. Come on, Matalan. You know you want to do this. Add this to the collection. But yeah, I think it's a pretty, it's just unabashedly confident. It is just impressively steadfast in the tone that it leaps from and to. It works more than it doesn't, and when it does work, it's really damn charming. So, yay, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it's called Happy as Lazzaro. It's out Friday. I think it's worth checking out, but even I'll admit, by my wacky sensibilities, it is a little bit wacky.
With the latest film news and reviews, this is Offscreen, the Movie Marker radio show and podcast.
And we're back for one last ride, Mr. Allen. So, before we get to Tom Hanks big does superheroes, should we do a bit of film news to tide us over? What we got?
Yeah, well, actually, this is about Tom Hanks.
Oh, is it?
Weirdly, yeah.
Oh, okay, brilliant. What's
Tom Hanks is in talks to be in an Elvis Presley biopic from Baz Luhrmann.
No,
not as Elvis.
He's not going to be Elvis.
Obviously.
He's going to be the Colonel, isn't he?
He's going to be Colonel Tom Parker. Great.
Do you know what? I never remember the Colonel Tom Parker. I only remember him as the Colonel.
The Colonel.
Yeah.
Is that because of The Simpsons?
I think because of The Simpsons.
Colonel Homer. Yeah.
Sweat actually cleans this suit. So Baz Luhrmann, as far as I know as well, Baz Luhrmann wants an unknown to be Elvis.
Yeah, which is, I think, the best way of doing this.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to sit through Miles Teller as Elvis.
I reckon Marcel would be an half decent Elvis, actually.
Yeah, but he'd play Elvis as an arsehole, and no one wants that. Anyway.
At times, Elvis was a bit of an arsehole.
Fair enough.
That's like someone doing a John Lennon biopic and John Lennon being nice.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
that ain't gonna happen.
That's true. That's very true. But so yeah, this is the thing. I didn't know.
Come at me, Yoko.
I didn't know Baz Luhrmann was doing this. I'm here for it. I have all the time in the world for a Baz Luhrmann Elvis movie.
Well, he's not had a film out since Gatsby.
That's
he did
5 years, Gatsby, something like that.
I think so. If
Valentine's
not
Day
6.
2014.
I thought it was 2013.
2013.
Yeah,
it was around Valentine's Day kind of time, wasn't it?
I believe so. Yeah, I think it was 2013. So 6 years ago, about crackers. And the last big thing he did was the Get Down.
Oh yeah, the Get Down, which they then put down.
Which they then put down. Yeah, despite having Jimmy Smits in it.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah, Jimmy Smits always needs work. He's great.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Smiths.
Yeah, but I'm here for that. I think that'll be good.
With the Smiths.
With the Smiths.
But yeah. So it's I'm
a big fan of Matt Santos.
Fantos of Santos, yeah. But yes, I'm intrigued by that. Do you think it'll be in 3D like the last one?
Probably, yeah.
Well, the last one with its 3D and Jay-Z score. Jay-Z soundtrack.
It'll be in 4D,
4DX, 270-degree screen. Yeah, that'll totally happen.
Yeah, there'll be a bit where he joins the military and you'll have mud flung in your face. And then when he's in Hawaii, you'll get lays put on you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
when he goes to Fat Elvis, we'll be given cheeseburgers.
The Baz Luhrmann's Elvis experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally going to happen. So let's talk about our last film of the week, and this is arguably the biggie.
Yeah. So,
what's the magic word, Mr. Allen?
Captain Marvel.
And of course, the joke is that is actually true. So, because Shazam began life as Captain Marvel, owned by, I think it was owned by, it was absorbed by DC Comics in the 30s, I believe. And then the idea is that they had no time for the character, so at one point they just stopped making it. A decade went by, they lost the rights to the name, and by that point, Marvel existed. Yeah. So Marvel decided, you know what, we should probably do something with that title, because we are Marvel. Having a Captain Marvel kind of makes sense. So they did. And then when DC decided, hang on a minute, that kind of rules out our character. We should probably bring him back. Well, they had to do something else. So the court decided they had to call him Shazam. Now, if you're not...
There is a reason for Shazam.
Well, that's it, because... Yeah. Oh, this is going to be annoying now. I'm going to have to look it up. Hang on. Because Shazam itself... Shazam, the word
I think
itself...
I can remember some of them.
Right. Shazam is an anagram for... Oh, good Lord.
Is V.S. Samson?
It is the wisdom of Solomon.
Oh, no, yeah.
The strength of Hercules, the stamina of Atlas, the power of Zeus, the courage of Achilles, and the speed of Mercury. Right. So the abbreviation of all of which spells Shazam, the magic word that turns a sort of 14-year-old boy, Billy Batson,
into Chuck.
Yeah, into Chuck Bartowski.
Yeah.
Or Chuck Bartowski's intersect version of Superman. Shazam, right? So he says Shazam, he literally poofs out in this big sort of electric explosion and becomes this ridiculously exaggeratedly proportioned superhero in a big red suit with a lightning bolt who has bullet immunity, can fly, has super strength and super speed. But of course, he has to keep this a secret because he's an orphan who lives in a foster home with a bunch of other kids, one of whom is his sort of sidekick. He's played by, is it Jack Dylan Glazer or Dylan Jack Glazer? Or
the kid from It.
The kid from It. It's going to be Jack Dylan, isn't it? Is it Jack Dylan?
I think it's Jack Dylan.
It is Jack Dylan Glazer from It and Me, Myself and I. And he has to keep this identity secret so he can protect his surrogate family of other kids who live in the foster home. Here's a clip of him in Shazam form, before he knows how to get rid of this form, trying to hide from his foster parents in his own home. Here's a clip.
I'm so worried about you.
I told you this was a bad idea.
Freddy?
Freddy, what happened to the stairs?
Hey, covering her mouth like you're gonna kidnap her is not gonna make her less scared, okay?
Darla, it's me. It's Billy. I know I don't look like me. A wizard made me look like
Maybe
this.
don't start with the wizard. It's just gonna make her more confused.
Some old guy brought me to a temple, and he made me say Shazam.
Verbally triggered body manipulation properties? You can switch by saying Shazam! Listen to me, Darla. You cannot tell anybody about this, all right?
But it's Billy. He's a hero.
Yeah, but if a supervillain finds out that he's a hero, that endangers us, okay? A hero's loved ones are like the perfect bad guy target.
So, this ain't your average DC movie, huh?
This looks like so much fun.
This really is. And, right, there's an interesting thing I noticed as this movie was literally starting, and that is that straight after the Warner Brothers logo comes the New Line logo. And what a difference a logo makes.
We're in the 90s, people.
Well, that's the thing, because this owes a significant debt to certain smaller scale superhero films of the early to mid 90s, specifically things like The Mask. You know, you look at things like The Mask,
which
and
really high concepts.
Yeah, and big and things like that. It's a really fun, whimsical sort of adventurous romp. There's a moment in it in which Shazam and I won't go into details, but there's a villain. Mark Strong plays a villain, and you know, and
Mark Strong plays a villain.
Oh, I know. Imagine the shock. Yeah, imagine that.
Colour me surprised.
So you've got a superpowered Mark Strong at one point fighting, Shazam, and they actually do a thing like an almost background shot where they whiz through a building, hitting each other in midair.
Yeah, that's in the trailer. I think.
Yeah, and you do, but the way it's staged is so much that it's trying to kind of just offhandedly do, okay, we can do the Man of Steel thing, but we don't need it to go on for 25 minutes. We're literally going to do it in 5 seconds. That's it. And you can't say the scale isn't there because, look, giant skyscraper in the background. That's what we're doing. It's fine. It's done. Stop talking to us about snapping necks. You know, that kind of thing. It does feel like that. This is the movie that feels almost entirely like a rebuttal to Man of Steel.
Yeah.
In almost every sense.
It's not like po-faced, and it's just fun.
Yeah, there is that stuff. There's even the sort of playing with archetypical moments from Man of Steel. So the whole, child being responsible for, injury/death of an adult kind of a thing. You get to do things like that, but explore it in a different way that makes more sense within a cinematic landscape. This is not the doom and gloom, oh good Lord, pass me the butter knife, I'm going to end it all moments that killed Man of Steel. It's not as ponderous. It's certainly got more energy to it than Man of Steel did. I mean, well, mind you, Man of Steel had energy. It was just really uninteresting energy.
Yeah,
I think.
it's just wow.
But whereas this, you actually go along with it. You actually care about this superhero being a superhero. And when he's discovering his powers, and that wonderful moment of you've got bullet immunity, in the trailer, when you get all of those kind of moments, they do have an effect because for one thing, you give a toss. You actually Zach Levi as Shazam, brilliant casting. Absolutely brilliant. Jaimin Hunsu as well, by the way. Very small role. Loved him.
Yeah, because it's a superhero film, so Jaimin Hunsu needs to be in it.
You got to have Jaimin Hunsu in it.
He is in this. He's in Captain Marvel. He's in
Guardians.
He's in Guardians. He's in Aquaman.
Oh, yeah, he is, isn't he? Yeah. Good Lord. But, I mean, I would argue that Asher Angel is a little bit, underutilized. He's kind of
he's the kid that
He's the kid who becomes Shazam, yeah.
Well, he can't... I don't think that's his fault. It's just the nature of the film, isn't it?
The problem is, I don't think they give enough time to Billy Batson as a character to begin with. So, I mean, for instance, what kind of a kid he is seems to fluctuate wildly. So, is he actually maliciously criminal when he wants to be? Does he have a mean streak? The film's kind of murky on, like you see him stealing a police car purely to get information at one point. Right? I think that's his opening scene. But it's never implied whether or not there's any weight to his criminality or not, or if that's just something he does because he has to. It never quite comes together on that level, but there is so much in the doing big with a superhero concept that you kind of bypass all that anyway. And Dylan Jack Glazer, I forget which, does all that. It's literally in front of me. It's Jack Dylan Glazer, okay? Jack Dylan Glazer, to be fair, does the heavy lifting on the child side anyway. And he's just got this sort of Fred Savage-like quality to him.
So happy you said that, because when they were casting Chapter 2 for it, I was like, get Fred Savage. We've not got Fred Savage.
They've not. Did they get in the end?
I forget. I don't think he's
That's not Bill
that
Hader.
big of a name. No, Bill Hader is
Finn Wolfhard, yeah.
But the guy that's playing him does look like him. But yeah, I just kept thinking about Fred Savage when I watched the first bit.
I will tell you as well that they had pulled off something actually kind of brilliant in what they've hidden from the marketing with this.
Right.
I mean, I know I've told you one little thing, obviously, before we started recording earlier, but not that. I don't mean... I mean, though they have managed to actually hold something from this movie that made me, the comic book fan, sit there and go, oh my God, really? We're doing this? Yes! Also, Alan Frank's only piece of comic book trivia has actually now made it to a cinema screen. He's never said it to you, I know that much. But really, I didn't go to the actual week of release screening for this, so I've not seen the movie with Alan.
Him.
I can only imagine he'd be insufferable coming out of this movie. Absolutely.
I want to know what it is.
Insufferable. When you see the movie, and you absolutely should, you'll probably know, because you're like, oh my God, that's brilliant. I can't believe they've done that. Because it's something very goofy 1940s. If I just said, when comic books were really goofy in the golden age,
yeah,
it's very that.
It's that.
It's very much of that kind of goofiness that, the kind of thoughts that give you things like Crypto the Superdog,
Yeah.
and the Bat Boat, and not the Bat Boat. What's the ridiculous Bat Boat? It's got a Batman head on the front. The ridiculous stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it comes from that kind of a place, which for the DCEU is astonishing. So, yes, it's the most fun I've ever had in a DCEU movie. Yes, I think it is the best, academically the best DCEU movie. It's certainly the most fun, it's the most colourful, the most engaging, just the most interesting one of these. I mean, it absolutely washed away the bad taste of Aquaman for me. Because I now genuinely can't say that all the DC movies suck. Which is something that not only would I say regularly prior to seeing
But you wouldn't
this,
say that Wonder Woman sucked?
I would say the last third sucked.
There's always a caveat.
There's always a caveat. 2/3 of a good movie ain't a good movie.
All right.
You know what I mean? Yeah? Look, if you asked me to go and buy you a pint, and I gave you 2/3 of a pint, you'd be annoyed.
Well, I would never say that because I don't drink pints. And if I was to drink beer, I'd drink it in half pints. Because that's the kind of person I am.
Right, okay. If you asked me to go and buy you a Cosmopolitan, I'd buy you 2/3 of a Cosmopolitan. You'd be annoyed. You'd be like, bitch,
no, I would say I am not so Jessica Parker in Sex and the City.
Ain't nothing wrong with a Cosmo, man. Anyway, so Shazam, absolutely see it. It is just a lot of fun. It's so worth the time. That's the thing. It's actually not that long either. I mean, it is long in terms of its 2 hours, 12 minutes. It's basically superhero movie length. But it feels like a 90-minuter because it has that New Line energy to it. That zeal, that mid-90s thing going for it. And it does feel paced kind of similar to The Mask. So, that in the same way that Mask actually was about 90 minutes, this feels about 90 minutes. And yet it's nearly 2 1/4. So, yeah.
Sounds fun.
Just great fun. And also, I'm never going to get the image of Zach Levi standing before that counter saying, I would like to buy some of your finest beer, please, out of my head because he's just so goofy and fun in this. Really big fan of Zach Levi in it.
Film of the week?
Film of the week, absolutely. I'm a huge Shazam fan. It genuinely is the magic word. So go and see it this weekend. I would definitely take this over Pet Sematary, like every time. For me, this works just a lot better than Pet Sematary did. But so next week, some interesting stuff.
What have we got?
Oh, what have we got, sir? We've got a movie with John Oliver in it next week. Did you know this?
Is this Wonder Park?
Wonder Park next week, yo. We've got Jonah Hill's directorial debut, mid-90s next week. Yeah. Cool. We've got Steel Country, which I admit I don't know an awful lot about. We've got Wild Rose. Jessie Buckley?
Jessie Buckley, yeah.
Jessie Buckley. Who's she in that with now? I forget offhand.
So do I, yeah. I know it's about a Scottish folk singer or country singer, maybe.
So it's Mark Kermode's film of the week?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, just so we're checking. Just so we know in advance, that is Mark Kermode's film of the week. I will put money on it. Here and now with you, that turns out to be Mark's film of the week next week. But we've got Wheelie next week, which kind of looks like a cheap knockoff of Cars.
Right.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Oh,
it's just like a yellow car. You're like, so it's called Wheelie, and he's a talking... Okay, never mind. And last but certainly by no means least, the movie that already looks like its own Netflix series spin-off, Hellboy, is next week. Which is just... What is with that trailer?
Which one? First one or the second one?
I think it's the second one, actually.
Second one.
But it just looks far too silly for its own good. But I don't know. I'm going to give it a chance. I'm a Hellboy fan, but yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll give it the benefit of the doubt, see what it is like.
Man. Yeah. Ian McShane and
yeah,
Hellboy
casting's great for it. Yeah, we'll see.
Anyway, so we've got all those to come and more next week off screen. In the meanwhile, this has been a Candy Store production of a Movie Marker. I've been Van Connor.
And I've been Case Allen.
And we shall return.
Just show me the way to get out of here, and I'll be on my way.
You've been listening to Offscreen. For more movie news, reviews, and more, visit moviemarker.co.uk.
Okay, everybody, that's a wrap.
Podcast extras, Mr. Allen. So, some film news then. Take us to the bridge. Shall we cycle through the things that we have failed to observe so far?
Yeah, because there's loads.
I mean, I heard the other day that there's this Bond movie that's being filmed. Like, this is going to be the first one.
James Bond.
James Bond.
James Bond. Right.
James Bond, not Brooke Bond now. So, it's going to be the first one filmed partly in IMAX, I believe.
That's mad, but it's taken this long.
Well, they've been in IMAX, though, haven't they?
Yeah.
So they've been post-converted every time?
Every time.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, but now we're going full Chris Nolan without just getting Chris Nolan to do it. Because we've got to wait to reboot the whole thing. So that's when we're going.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Did we talk about The Eternals last week? I can't remember.
I can't remember if we did, but let's revisit it quickly anyway.
I don't know if we did, yeah. I don't think we did.
Was this casting-wise?
This was casting. This is the first bit of casting for Eternals. Okay. So Eternals is a cosmic film that's going to be part of the MCU for Phase 4.
I did hear that.
Because I feel like Phase 3 is never going to end. I can't believe we're actually getting to the end of it.
It's like a month now, man. It's less than a month.
I know. It's about crazy.
Oh, I know.
Mad. And Eternals is, coming. And Angelina Jolie is going to be in it, apparently. She's going to be one of the Eternals, which is big, godlike character.
Yeah, I mean, this is apparently taking place thousands of years before the events of Guardians of the Galaxy as well.
Apparently so, yeah.
I think one of Thanos' ancestors is a character in it.
Yes.
One rumour I did hear is that the main character will be the Marvel character of Hercules, and he will be the first gay Marvel hero.
So it's Hercules that's going to be the gay character?
This is one I've heard, but that's not been confirmed. So I can take it with a pinch of salt. Personally, I wouldn't be surprised if they did it with Sentry. Because the Sentry character hasn't really appeared in the MCU. I mean, we never hear about that either.
So who is Sentry? Sorry.
Sentry's like an alien watcher of Earth or something, sort of a Superman. He actually has like a Sentry's watchtower thing, which resides above Avengers Tower in the comics. And he is sort of an overseer. He's one of the next level powerful characters, like Captain Marvel powerful characters. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does get mentioned sooner or later, but I would have thought they'd retcon him in.
Yeah.
You know, because they don't follow the exact continuity in these movies. They adapt it to
suit them, which is what they need to do.
As long as they use the character and they hit the broad strokes, who cares kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
I think that's big casting, and I'd be happy with it. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, why not? So, Space Jam. We've got to talk about Space Jam.
We've got to talk about Space Jam.
We've got to talk about Space Jam. It's a Space Jam 2. Isn't it being produced by like Jordan Peele or something? Oh, it's Ryan Coogler, isn't it?
Coogler.
I knew it was someone who had an amazing Black Positivity movie in 2017 as well. Of which there were only 2. But because I'm not saying anything positive about A Wrinkle in Time. So, so Sonequa Martin Green. That's it, isn't it? Sonequa Martin Green? From Star Trek Discovery, Michael Burnham. She has joined Space Jam 2 as LeBron's wife. Well,
amazing.
See, Michael Jordan didn't have a wife in the first one, did he?
Yeah, he had a whole family.
Did he?
Yeah.
I haven't seen Space Jam in a long, long time.
He had a mum. They had kids. There's a really dated quasi racist bit where he comes home and is like, "What are you guys making? It smells good." And the mum's like, "Chicken."
So it's like Green Book level of subtlety.
Yeah.
Film I didn't know much about. Sam Mendes's 1917.
It's got a cast.
It has quite a decent cast too.
Really good cast.
Who is amongst this cast, Mr. Allen, that you know offhand?
Mark Strong.
I mean, of course he is, because it's a British war movie.
Yeah.
You know. Who else do you get for a British war movie, Mr. Allen?
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Of course you do. Who else do you get for a British war movie, Mr. Allen?
Colin Firth.
Oh, pushing a boat out there.
And I don't know who else.
Richard Madden also joined.
Oh, yeah.
Because you need a young hunk.
You need a young...
Benedict's starting to appeal to the mums now. So, we need to get the...
Poldark's busy.
Yeah. Poldark's off, waxing his chest, whatever it is he does. and we need someone to appeal to the slightly younger women. So the slightly younger daughters. So let's go with.
Let's get Bodyguard.
Yeah, let's get the Bodyguard in.
Yeah.
Because he also appeals to the mums. So my mum was a huge fan of the Bodyguard. But my mum's a pervert. So
Have you watched Bodyguard?
I have not watched the last episode because I know everyone complains about it. But so Sam Mendes's war movie 1917. Weird. This isn't even a bit of film news. It's TV news. But they are making a sequel series to Sex and the City.
But they made a prequel series, didn't they?
Well, they made a prequel series.
They're making a sequel series.
A sequel series, which is about life after 50. I don't know if it follows the same characters, but...
I don't know if it will, because half of us people won't talk to each other.
But yeah, and also I don't think any of them will admit they are over 50. But
yeah, one of them's a politician now.
Yeah, there is that.
The other one is just adorable.
Are we on about... Charlotte? I'm just going to call her Charlotte.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, the hot one.
The hot one. Thank you. She is the one.
Oh, she was absolutely the hot one in Sex and the City, and everybody knew
Definitely.
it. Like, don't get me wrong, Kim Cattrall was the fun one, but Charlotte was the hot one. That's how this works. So this is one thing I love. I love a good Lifetime movie. We're getting a salt and pepper one.
Yes.
Oh.
Have they made a TLC one? I feel like that needs to happen.
Oh, that absolutely does. But
TLC and a liar.
Sorry, it's right. It's a miniseries. Have a guess who's producing it? This is. I just think this is hilarious. Queen Latifah.
That makes sense.
That is brilliant. I think that's great. So yeah, Queen Latifah is gonna shoot.
Wow. Yeah, that's great.
Taika Waititi and Ryan Reynolds, who starred together in Green Lantern, they're gonna reunite for Free Guy, which, as you pitched it to me, is about a bank teller who discovers he's actually a character in a video game.
Yes.
And it's being directed by Sean Levy, who brought us Night at the Museum, I believe.
Yeah.
So
I think that'll be quite fun.
Yeah.
He's good at doing those like high concept family comedy sort of things. And Taika Waititi in like a big acting role is great.
And I think that's overdue now, because after Thor Ragnarok, I want that now. I mean, I've not watched the. Is he in the What We Do in the Shadows TV series? Because I've not seen.
He might appear as a cameo, but I don't like his character and Jermaine Clement's character are not. They're not the main vampires. It's about another sect.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realise.
But it's great people. Kaivan Novak is like the lead
of course.
vampire, and Matt Berry is a vampire. So it's like it's people that we love.
I'm sold. Yeah, I'm sold. Chris Morris turns up cameos any day now.
I love that. Yeah.
But so Free Guy, I'm looking forward to that. That sounds interesting. Sounds about as interesting as that Jason Bateman directed one where the movie theme park comes to life. Like,
is that one with John Cena?
John Cena.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
It's just a lot of very good high concept films.
That one's for Netflix though, the Jason Bateman one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm hoping it's good. I'm hoping it's not another Game Over Man.
I didn't watch that because I was going through my Why Is Adam Divine and everything phase.
He's still in everything.
Yeah. Actually, I liked him in that rom-com that Robert Wilson put out a couple of weeks ago. I thought it was good.
Oh, isn't it romantic?
Yeah, I thought that was really fun.
I've not seen that one yet. I will watch it though.
Liam Hemsworth is amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
They were marketing the hell out of it in New York. Isn't it romantic?
Because it was getting like an actual wide theatrical.
Yeah, they actually put it in theatres, and I literally by the time I had flown back here, it was on Netflix.
I didn't realise we were getting on. Yeah, it just
appeared, didn't it? Yeah. But what was the one? They surprise dropped a movie last night. That was it. Netflix surprise dropped a horror movie last night called Mercy Black, right? Which is a Blumhouse movie. Yeah.
So it'd be like when we put Cam on there.
Yeah, basically. But this is basically it's a reference to the whole thing is kind of a loose adaptation of the sort of the Slender Man myth.
Oh, right.
I think it's meant to be Slender Man and the Mary Bell child killer case. And it's a Blumhouse movie. It's called Mercy Black, and it's on Netflix now, apparently.
I will watch that. I mean, I'm going to watch Cellular tonight.
Oh, Cellular. Yeah. Oh, look out for a certain Suits, member of the Suits cast in that. Not Meghan Markle.
No, I was going to say.
It's not Meghan Markle.
Katherine Heigl?
No, not Katherine Heigl. She is terrible in Suits. She is so bad in Suits.
Apparently she asked to replace Meghan Markle. Like, she sought that out.
Yeah, because I can absolutely believe that Katherine Heigl picked up a newspaper one morning, saw Meghan Markle engaged, will leave Suits and leave co-star in the lurch, will cost co-star his job, and thought to herself, "Ha! I'm as good as a princess. I shall take this role." I can absolutely believe Katherine Heigl did that. Also, also fuck Judd Apatow. I can believe that was Katherine Heigl over breakfast.
I love how diplomatic they always are about talking about Katherine Heigl. Whenever someone asks Judd Apatow or Seth Rogen, anything.
Comedy directors seem to have that. Every comedy director seems to have one actress who they didn't click with, who didn't get the tone. Like Judd Apatow has Katherine Heigl. Kevin Smith has Linda Fiorentino.
Right,
because he's rather famously said on several occasions he wished they'd just let Judy Garofalo have that role. And there is...
She didn't really do much after that as well, did she?
She didn't, no.
Yeah, it's very strange.
To be fair, there was a whole thing around Linda Fiorentino that she was difficult to work with, so she sort of got phased out a lot, because she was in a lot of high-profile things for about 2 years. Like Men in Black.
In like the late 90s. You often forget she's in
that. Like she's the female lead in Men in Black.
Yeah.
You know, a role that now goes to Tessa Thompson, if you want to put it in context, but... Yeah. I'm trying to remember, there was another one like that.
Well, also, Tess Thompson now, she's not just like the lead female, she is the lead.
I think, I'm not sure, Seth MacFarlane had one that he just couldn't click with.
Oh.
It's not, is it Lacey Chabert? I think it might be Lacey Chabert. Seth MacFarlane has one as well as an actress that he just...
What, in what? Was
his whole collective universe, Lacey Chabert started out as Meg.
Oh, of course, and then Mila Kunis
and then
comes in.
Got replaced by Mila Kunis because he goes through phases where he has favourite actresses of the moment, like Mila Kunis.
Well, Mila Kunis was in Ted 1 and then wasn't in Ted 2.
And by which point he had his new favourite, who was Amanda Seyfried. And now his current favourite is Jessica Soka. So, who's Jamie Foxx's girlfriend? She's the security chief in the Orville.
Oh, right, that makes sense, because what's the actress who left?
Halston Sage.
Yeah, I really liked her, and then, she got replaced.
She's joined something interesting recently, I forget what. But Jessica Soka is in Ted 2 as well.
Who does she go out with?
The bartender who tries to pull Mark Wahlberg early on.
Yeah.
But she's been in other things as well. But
I don't recognise her without the ears. And
without the Anyway, so that's me out of news for the week.
I think that's me as well.
Oh, in which case, here it is, your moment of Cage.
Okay, we can't stream anything, but I brought my DVD collection. Do you like Nick Cage movies?
I don't know who that is.
Only the greatest and most compelling actor of all time.
What are his movies like? Describe them.
Okay, well, one of them is the FBI has developed face-swapping technology.
Not interested.
There's a whole plane full of convicts.
Nope.
On the back of the original Declaration of Independence, there's a hidden treasure map.
Stop.
But that's the smartest one.